Coming up here on the Raiders Report, Jimmy Garoppolo has been good and he's been bad at Raiders training camp so far. I'm going to give you everything that there is to know around the Raiders starting quarterback and how he has performed. On Tuesday, there's some smiles out there, and this is the good because he looked really, really sharp during Tuesday's practice, which I would say is probably the most important practice considering the fact that it was the very first one that the Raiders had pads on. But you know what? I listen to the internet. But Mitch, the beat reporters have said that Jimmy Garoppolo has been bad. You know what? You're right. I see what these beat reporters have said. I saw what everyone was saying on Monday. I am on Twitter, and if you don't already follow me, you can hit me up at Mitchell Renz 365. But guess what? It is going to be an up and down thing. That's what the early training camp is supposed to end up doing. If you didn't see the negative reports out there from some of the beat reporters around Garoppolo, this is one thing that Vincent Bonsignore from the Las Vegas Review-Journal had to say. There is no getting around the struggles of Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo on Monday. He didn't look good, period. And then Vic Tafur from The Athletic also weighed in saying Garoppolo has struggled with the deep ball early in camp, and some critics would say it's never been a strength, but he's coming off foot surgery and shaking off some rust. So when I see all these reports out there from beat reporters, when I see everything that goes down around Garoppolo, I get it. There's a lot of concentration around him. Why? He's the Raiders starting quarterback. Why? The Raiders also moved on from Derek Carr, a fan favorite. But I am here to tell every single one of y'all that come across this video, do not panic when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. The first reason why I'm telling you not to panic is the deep ball has never been a strength of Jimmy G's. Like, if you were sitting here today, Monday, let's just say, and you're like, I was really counting on Garoppolo to be able to throw that deep ball effectively, I would look at you respectfully and I'd say, you're an idiot, or you don't know ball. Is Garoppolo a good quarterback? Yes. But if you expected him to be an above-average deep ball quarterback, I'm sorry. You're going to be disappointed. And I'm going to give you my other two reasons here in just a second on why you should not panic. But to make sure you don't miss any Raiders training camp news, the latest rumors. Heck, I did a show late on Monday when the Raiders signed their linebacker. I did a show bright and early this morning. Bottom line, videos every single day around the Raiders. I don't want you to miss it, so subscribe. Let's go to the next thing here. I think of this as spring training long toss. And some people who understand baseball terms will get this. Other people simply, they probably won't. But in baseball terms, when you're a pitcher, when you're a player, when you play baseball, one of the things that usually happens the first week of practice is you get loose a little bit, and then you really try to air it out. You try to build up that arm strength. And I've talked to some NFL teams out there, and I've talked to some quarterbacks, and this is something that some teams like to do in terms of a guy like Garoppolo, who hasn't really thrown the football that much, and you want to make sure that his arm strength is 100% there. So what do? They long toss. So I actually talked to a source at the Raiders training camp, and Garoppolo was throwing a lot of these deep balls to just show off the arm strength. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't look good. It's more or less you got to get that muscle memory back, and you got to build that arm strength. That way when it actually comes time to throw that deep ball in a game, when it matters, you have the ability to do it and to be able to execute it. The final thing that I'm going to bring up here is, isn't practice made to work on your weaknesses? Like the amount of reporters out there that were ripping through Jimmy G on the deep ball this, deep ball that. If I'm Garoppolo, I know that I can throw a 10-yard slant effectively. I know that I can throw a 5-yard out. I know that I can throw a 15-yard post. I know that I can do all those things. The one thing that continuously gets knocked on Garoppolo, which is fair, is his ability to throw the ball deep. So if I'm stepping into camp here, why the hell would I not work on it? Like, I love the fact that they're working on it as much as they are. And I get it. He doesn't look all that great right now. He needs to work on it. I want him to practice what he is not good at. That's exactly what practice is for. So don't panic on all the bad reports around Jimmy G. And I want you to take a deep breath, because I'd rather him struggle Now, in July, which August 1st is when I'm making this video, compared to him struggling in September, October, November, and December. So after seeing all this, what is your confidence level right now on Jimmy Garoppolo running this Raiders offense? I want you to scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being you are not confident at all. 10 being you are very confident in Jimmy Garoppolo. As I stand right now, I'm going to go with a 7. This is kind of where I've hung around with Jimmy G. And I'm just being real with y'all. Like, I believe that he has the ability, the mental toughness to command an offense in the huddle, right? The fact that him and Max Crosby got in on it on Tuesday and Crosby had to run a lap, I love that competitive nature. And I want my leaders to have that. I want the fire. I want, and I say this all the time, when you're in the huddle and those 10 other guys are looking at you, I want my quarterback to be able to look at every single one of them and say, hey, we're going to get this first down. We're going to get this red zone touchdown. We are about to convert right here. And Garoppolo has that. He also has the ability to trash talk. And if you can get underneath Max Crosby's skin, I think that just goes to show how great of a trash talker Garoppolo is. But also on top of that, Tuesday practice in pads was a lot more crisp than Monday's practice, not in pads. Last time I checked, they play in pads. So for that reason, I'm going to weigh that much, much better. I'm also going to say this. I had a source reach out to me who's at Raiders training camp, and he's been there every single day. And he's like, honestly, dude, Garoppolo hasn't looked as bad as what the beat reporters are making it sound. And he sent me that message, and I was like, all right, that's fair enough. And then you see all the stories out there of the deep ball Garoppolo threw to Davante Adams, and Davante pointed at the beat reporters and was basically like, make sure you write that down. And I know sometimes people don't think that players see reports or they don't see YouTube videos or they don't see articles. Of course they do. And they have seen how much negativity has been around Garoppolo, and the beat reporters are probably a little bit upset. You know, they don't really have any sources anymore. They're getting beat consistently on a daily basis by content creators, and that can get frustrating. And I see it point blank. If you don't follow Vic Tafur and you can't see how much of a negative Nancy he is covering this football team, then, man, you got to open your eyes right now. That's fine. Vic can do that. He's one of the best in the biz. But I'm also saying when Raiders players are noticing, like Davante Adams, that you're being a negative Nancy, I think it's my job also to sit up here and say, hey, he hasn't been nearly as bad as what beat reporters are making him sound. Now, we're also going to get into more things around Jimmy Garoppolo, but, man, I got an awesome deal for all of y'all. If you want some Raiders gear on sale, in fact, raise your hand right now. I know I can't see you. Raise your hand right now if you want Raiders gear on sale. If you do, you got to go to chatsports.com/Raiders sale. There's 2 S's in there, so make sure you get both of them. Those links are going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. I'm going to say we have over 100 things on sale right now. We got combinations of hoodies, women's apparel, kids apparel, men's apparel. There's combos where you can get hats, you can get t-shirts, long sleeves. Bottom line is, like, if you need some back-to-school stuff, I think it's a great option. If you just need some brand-new Raiders gear for the preseason, for the regular season right around the corner, go to that link. Some of the stuff is up to 50% off. It's chatsports.com/Raiders sale. So that's the deal that we got going on right now. But you know what, man? You hear that? Sounds like a whiny Raiders fan. But Mitch, the Raiders shouldn't have moved on from Derek Carr. I think the other reason why you're hearing so much damn negativity around Garoppolo is because of the Raider fans, and it's sad. All right, I'm telling you this point blank. This is one of the saddest things about this team this season is people are hoping, Raider fans are hoping, that Garoppolo fails, that the Raiders fail just because they moved on from D.C. I can sit up here and say that I didn't like the Garoppolo signing. I don't believe in Josh McDaniels as a head coach. But I can also sit up here and tell you that the best thing for not only the Raiders, also Derek Carr, was the divorce. Because these two sides needed to split up. They did. And if you're sitting up here saying, like, they should have never moved on from Garoppolo, they should have stayed with Carr, I just simply disagree. There is nothing about Derek that made me want to stay with him. In fact, Garoppolo has won more football games. And that's a lot of times what people talk about when they talk about quarterbacks. Now, in terms of D.C., I've also heard that D.C. has struggled a little bit this offseason with the New Orleans Saints, and I had a source reach out to me over the weekend, and they told me that one of the reasons why they brought in Gruden earlier in the offseason was because they were hoping that Gruden was able to unlock Carr. And the last time that we saw a true top 10 quarterback in D.C. was probably when Gruden was the head coach. He was bad last season with McDaniels. And I just sit here and I watch the tape. I look at this. I look at that. And I'm not trying to besmirch D.C., but I am sick and tired of Raider fans ripping apart Garoppolo in July and in August because they missed Derek Carr. Just move on, man, right? Like, move on. And it shouldn't surprise anybody because we've also seen D.C. struggle in learning new systems. Am I surprised that maybe he had a little few bumps in the road in New Orleans? No, it's a new system. Was I surprised when Carr struggled as much as he did for the amount of years that they did with the Raiders? No, he had to learn new systems all the time. So am I really surprised that Garoppolo has a few, we'll call them bumps in the road right now? Has he learned the McDaniels system before? Yes, but I guarantee you the McDaniels system, what it was back in New England, I'm sure there's a few different changes now, and he's also worked in some other systems, so he's got to relearn that language a little bit. There's going to be a few bumps in the road. So all I'm saying is for all the Raider fans out there that are riding D.C. all the time, if you can sit up here all the time and give me the argument of, oh, Derek had to deal with all these different changes, and it was early on, and he had to learn a new system. Well, can we do the same for Garoppolo? Like that's all I'm trying to say. There's some good, there's some bad, and that's okay because it's still freaking training camp after all. But you know what? I love having debates, and I love debating. Some people would say I'm an aggressive master debater. Like that one, Master Raider? In terms of when I sit down with my friends, I love talking sports. And I try to do it, and that's what the show here is 100% around. So who's the better quarterback? Let's go. Let's debate it. Is it Jimmy Garoppolo or is it Derek Carr? Let me know down in the comments section right now. The better quarterback for the Raiders is Jimmy Garoppolo. The better quarterback in Josh McDaniels' system is Jimmy Garoppolo. And really, man, that's all I care about at this point. I want Jimmy G to succeed because if he succeeds, that means the Raiders win. If the Raiders win, I'm okay being wrong. There is nothing more that I want than to be wrong. I said I didn't believe in the Garoppolo move. I said I didn't believe in the McDaniels move. But I'm a man enough to swallow my pride and say that I was wrong. Why? Because I just want the Raiders to win football games. So in conclusion, let's give Garoppolo a little bit of time before we already start freaking out saying it's a failure. Because after that Monday practice, it was a full-on meltdown on social media. This guy stinks. He's never going to be able to do it, this and that, this and that. It was July. July 31st was Monday. It is now August 1st. When you guys see this video, it might be August 2nd. All I'm saying is, for the love of God, give Garoppolo a little bit of time. And after a few weeks, if it doesn't look like it's working, well, then cool. Let's rock with Aiden O'Connell, another player that I'm really hoping Raider fans turn around on because I'm also sick and tired of hearing, oh, but he's wearing number 4 like Derek Carr. Well, too bad. He didn't win anything, so that jersey, it's not going to get retired. I'm rooting for Jimmy G. I'm rooting for the Raiders. I'm rooting for Aiden O'Connell. And if you're a true Raider fan, I think you'll do the same.